Hey everyone, welcome to the Palikari Business Podcast. My name is Abby.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the founders of Odyssey Productions Co., a video production company located in the Central Valley of California.
Yeah, the word Palikari is a Greek word that means a young person who's achieved great things beyond their years.
So in each episode of this podcast, we will be interviewing successful business owners, influencers, and entrepreneurs to learn from their wisdom, experiences, and even their mistakes in hopes of helping you achieve great things beyond your years.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
So as of last month, August 2022, Nick and I hit 2 years of running our business, Odyssey Productions, full-time together, and 2 years since we started it, actually. So this week on the episode of the podcast, we want to do something a little different and actually share with you guys 7 things that we've learned over the last 2 years since we started our business. These are just from our personal experience, but we hope they'll be really helpful.
Yeah, I think they will. I think we've learned quite a bit in the past 2 years.
We have.
Big difference from when we started.
It's definitely a roller coaster, and just thinking back to where we started and the thought process we had, the things we did, even just like looking back at our old like invoices and the way that we made them, it was so bad compared to what we do now.
Even our old goals and just stuff that we had dreamed and stuff looks a lot different now that we're actually started too.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
All the way from cosmetics to even like the actual way we run our business to the things that we do in our business, the areas we focus on, everything has shifted. So it's neat to see how different things are now, and it's cool to know that, you know, there's been growth and change there and things we've learned, and we're always ready to keep learning. So that's why we have this podcast. Part of that too is we always want to keep learning from other people. So anyway, let's get into it. So the first thing we wanted to talk about is to invest in yourself. I think this one applies whether you have a business, you want to start a business, or if you're working a 9-to-5 job. Like, no matter what you're doing, investing in yourself is a really good thing. And when I say invest in yourself, I don't mean go to the spa. I mean go get books and podcasts and audiobooks, watch interviews of people. Just do whatever you can to learn a skill set.
Buy courses. Yeah,
buying online courses. There are a ton of courses online right now, and even free stuff on YouTube. There are like so many resources available. Yeah. And so if you have a skill set, something you want to learn, something you're passionate about, or even you want to get better at a certain area of your job, I mean, there's so many ways you can invest in yourself by choosing to learn. Because the thing is, you can always continue doing things the same way you've always done them. But if you invest in yourself and build a skill set, you're making yourself extremely valuable, because the thing is, nobody can take away skills. So no matter what job, if you lost your job today, or if you're starting a business, whatever, if you're developing skills, you can carry those over to wherever you go, whatever you do, you carry those skills with you and create value. And the thing is, the more skills you have, the more recession-proof you are. Because if you have the skills to solve problems, when things like a recession hit, or when things like maybe losing a job or your business is going through a rough patch, if you have skills to solve problems that people have, being able to provide solutions is what people exchange money for. Mm-hmm. Providing solutions makes you valuable, makes people want to work with you because you have the solution to their problem. Mm-hmm. When you're investing in yourself by learning, you're actually increasing your value, and whatever money you put into that time you spend, or the books, whatever you put into it, you're going to get out 100-fold.
And that's whether you have your own business or not. That's just like in life in general, for working for other people, even having all those skills is really nice.
Mm-hmm. And even just getting around people that you can learn from and asking them questions is the same. Like, just any way that you can learn and improve yourself is huge and is really going to benefit you in the long run. And the cool thing is, if you're learning skills and learning all these things, you never know what you might come across where you think, wow, I actually really like this area of this industry, whatever, and I think I want to try it. And then you'll find things too, that maybe you'll find something you want to do for the rest of your life that you didn't even know existed before because of all the learning you've been doing. So.
Yeah, and it's a long-term investment, you know, like whenever you are investing, like things you invest in business, like advertisement or stuff like that, you invest in it, it goes up and then it goes down, right?
Yeah.
And then, but if you're investing in yourself, that's something that you can carry with you for the rest of your career. So it's just like such a huge ROI, right? Is investing in yourself. That's the best thing you can do for.
I totally agree. And you can teach those skills to other people too. So there's even like you can help other people through the skills you learn. There's just so many benefits. And like you were saying, you can invest. People want to invest in the stock market or all these things just to kind of make quick money.
Yeah.
But investing in your skills, investing in yourself is a long-term commitment, and it takes a long time. But that's why it's so valuable, is because most people don't want to put in the hours it takes to read 10 books on a subject. But if you do that, if you say it takes you maybe a year, but you get through 10 books on a certain subject or podcast, whatever, you're going to know much more about that subject than the average person. And that means the average person is going to find your knowledge valuable enough to want to hire you. So.
People pay big bucks for someone who knows what they're talking about.
Exactly. It saves them time from having to learn about it. So number 2 is something that I really learned, and I think he was trying to help me learn it the last 2 years, but I wouldn't listen. And that is, your perspective really matters. So just take an example. Say you have 90% of things in your business are going really well, and there's 10% that is not going very well. The problem is, a lot of times...
Like maybe it's your TikTok and the rest of the social media is going fine, but
your
TikTok
social
isn't
media,
working.
Your social media is great, but TikTok just will not take off for you. That's like our experience. But so say for example, you have 10% of your business that's negative. Now, 90% is great. The problem is, as business owners, we tend to kind of focus on the negative, or at least I do, where I see these things that are not going the way I want, or I lost this client, or this isn't working out. And rather than focusing on the 90% of things that are going amazingly well, we hyper-focus on the negative 10%.
Yeah.
And the issue with that is, it's going to leave you burnt out. It's going to leave you feeling unsuccessful. And it's actually going to, I believe it's actually going to harm your ability to be successful, because you're constantly focused on the negative. Because when you focus on that, it gets magnified. Whatever you're focusing on becomes bigger and bigger and bigger to you, until that's all you can see. So if you're constantly focused on the things not going well in your business, eventually you're not going to notice the good things at all, and you're just going to want to give up and be discouraged. And we want you to be successful. So you have to really challenge yourself to look at your mindset, take a step back sometimes, and look at the big picture. What's going on in your business? What have you been focusing on? Maybe you need to take a step back and just actually take some time to be thankful for the things that are going well, and have some, like, honestly, just sitting down and saying, you know what? We're doing this really well. I'm really grateful that this client keeps coming back, or whatever. That really helps to shift your perspective and mindset and get you back on track to where you realize things aren't all that bad. It's just a few things in your business that need to change. And that's the thing, is those negatives, don't just focus on those negatives and be upset about them. Take the negatives and sit down and say, okay, how can we find a solution to this? Like, don't just complain about them. Come up with a solution and work towards that solution. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. You try again.
And also just make the best out of the situation that you're in. Yeah. Like, even if it's like, well, man, this really is a crappy situation. There's just like nothing good to take out of it, except maybe it's slow right now. So I am going to go ahead and work on, invest, like we just talked about, investing in myself to learn these new topics that I've been wanting to learn, and just make the best of every situation.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's important too, because like, you can always find, like, you could be in a situation where it really sucks, like you were saying, but you have to look at what opportunities you have because you're in that situation. There's always opportunities if you're looking for them. Yeah,
your mindset does have a lot to do with your success, because like, even just your mood will completely destroy your day at work if you're pissed off about something.
That's true.
and like, just being able to be positive too, not only is it just good for your own productivity, but it's attractive to other people, right? People want to work with you when you're a happy person. If you're mad about everything, then they're like, oh man, their business must suck because he's so upset about it.
Yeah.
Things are probably going horrible. I don't want to be that to be a contagious thing for me, and just, people like to be around positive people, so it's just good to always make sure you check that.
Yeah, that's really good. Being positive and a personable person and focusing on the good things does make people want to work with you more. I didn't think about that, and that's really beneficial, because relationships are a huge part of running a business, because you have to have good relationships with your clients, and then they'll want to refer you, but they don't want to refer a grumpy person.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so something that this is probably the first hurdle that seemed like I felt just completely lost was pricing. Yeah. And I know it's different for some people if you work with products or services or whatever. We work with services, so that's the experience we're going to share. But like, it was just really hard to figure out especially starting out when you have no clients, it's really hard to find a price that is like, okay, I want people to actually hire me because I don't want to just be sitting here doing nothing. But also, I know that I'm, selling a video for $50 isn't a good thing.
Yeah, no.
So it's really hard to find the balance at first. But honestly, I think that the best thing that you can do is start out to get yourself out there by maybe even just doing some free stuff. Like the first couple things you do, it's okay to do them for free just to, get yourself out there.
Build a portfolio.
But after that is over, like, you need to have a line like, okay, I'm done in that, with that area, and that time period of my business is over now, and now I'm charging what I'm worth.
Yeah.
Because if you charge low, then first of all, you're not making money because you charge low, but also that just creates an endless cycle of people coming back to you that want low prices.
Cheap deals.
Yeah, because right, if word of mouth, which it is one of the best things for businesses, word of mouth.
Absolutely.
No matter what industry you're in, word of mouth is huge. And if someone's like telling their friend, hey, I got this video super cheap, that's exactly what they're expecting when they're coming to you. And
super cheap video.
And not only that, but the people that are cheap, when they're buying your service, they're not as invested in it. They don't care. They just don't care as much about it because they're not willing to pay big money for it. So your overall experience is just not going to be the best.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, he was saying not caring about it. I was doing a logo design for somebody a while ago. We don't do logos anymore, just to be clear. But I was doing one, and I charged a very cheap price because I knew this person. But I went through, I think, 4 different logo designs. I did a lot of work on this logo for them. And then at the end of the deal, they just said, oh, we changed our minds. So that's the problem with clients that are looking for a cheaper deal. It might seem appealing because it's like, oh, this is one of the first people that came to me. I really need this job. But the problem is, you're, like you said, you're creating that cycle, and clients like this, they're looking for deals. It's not about and the funny thing about clients looking for deals is they often are very specific and controlling too. They want to have their hand in every part of the process. And it's fine if you work with that bracket of clients. If that's the clients that you enjoy and you can make that work, that's fine. But for the majority of us, I don't think that works because it's just you are overworked and underpaid basically. So I think the biggest thing to understand for service-based pricing, the things we learned are to think about value and to understand time. So first of all, people are going to ask you for your hourly rate. And the problem with that is when you do a service-based business, like for us, for example, if somebody wants a video, say they're selling a product and they want to make $100,000 off of this ad that we're making, right? They want to bring in that much revenue. And they say, well, how much is your hourly rate? The problem with that is, say we've been doing videos now for 2 years. We could probably get a video done in a fairly quick and efficient amount of time, as opposed to somebody who's brand new. It'd probably take them a lot longer than us. So if we're charging an hourly rate, we're now being punished for our efficiency while we're still providing an insane amount of value for them through that video.
More value, right?
More value,
The more efficient we are, the more valuable we are.
Exactly, because they get their video done quicker and it's high quality. So the problem is, if you're charging hourly, you're getting punished for being efficient, which is more valuable to them anyway. Second of all, you have to understand value. Going back to the $100,000 video example, if they want to make $100,000 off this video campaign we make for them, but they only want to pay $300, that's not right, because the video we're making for them is worth $100,000 to them. Obviously, we won't charge that much because that's how much they want to make off of it.
Yeah.
But if that's the goal, that means that video is worth that much, and you have to understand that you have to charge according to the value you are providing. It's not about how long it takes you to make it. It's about the value you are providing to that person. So
it's not even necessarily about how much work you have to put into that project necessarily. No, it's not. It's not even about like, oh, I have to work this hard to make this, so I'm going to get paid this much. It's that hard work is going to, maybe lead to exponential growth for them. So you need to factor the value in, like you're saying.
Exactly. It's all about value. So that's kind of the basics of what we learn about pricing, but it's just super important to understand your value and to set those boundaries with customers too. Like, you have to be really careful about all that. Yeah. And if somebody's like, well, I want a video for 300. We just don't take them at that point because we know that that bracket is really not what we're looking for in a customer, because they don't see the value in that video. And a lot of times that happens where you'll have a customer who wants a video done for their business or something, and you charge a certain rate and they say it's out of their budget, it's too expensive, somebody else does it cheaper. Well, okay, then you can refer them to somebody cheaper, or ask them, the great thing to do is ask them why they didn't pick somebody cheaper. Yeah. And oftentimes it's because they like the quality of your work. And then you can explain to them, well, for the quality of the work that I do, that's the price it is. That's why that other person is cheaper, is there's a difference in the quality level. So there's just a lot of things to understand when it comes to pricing, and that's just, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling about it, but that's a really important thing that you need to understand when you're starting out, for sure. Especially, like we said, especially for service-based businesses, because that's our experience. We're not a product-based.
Yeah, and even like this will be different depending on what service you're providing, but if people are investing a lot of money in it, they're also invested in the success of the project, right? Yeah. And if they're only willing to pay a small amount of money, they don't really care as much as someone who's willing to pay a large amount. So if it's, especially for services that require like your customer to be involved a little bit, like if they're paying $50, they don't really, they're not worried about helping you make sure that it's super successful. You know, if they're investing a ton of money, they're like, okay, I want this to work, and that overall is right. If
a better experience.
Yeah, it's a better experience, because like for us, our client success is our success, right? And that's for most service-based people. So
yeah, exactly. And as your client grows, you grow with them, because they'll keep coming back to you for more. An example that made me think of is, say you're going to a concert. If a concert's free, anybody and everybody's going to show up, even if they don't care about the music, right? But if you're willing to pay like $150 for a ticket to that concert, you're invested, and everybody there is going because they genuinely care about the music. It's the same with clients. Your clients are, if a client is wanting to pay $300 for a video to advertise their product, they're not very invested. They'll probably put it up on their website and then complain that there's no results. Yeah. Whereas somebody who's willing to pay like $5,000 to $10,000 for this product ad, and then they're going to have an aggressive marketing campaign with this video, they're going to see the results because they were invested from the beginning. So it's just things to consider.
Yeah.
So another thing I've been learning kind of recently is it's really important to understand your why when you're starting a business. So if you're doing this, if you're going to start a business, you really got to know that it's not going to be easy. It's amazing to be your own boss, to be able to, take vacations whenever you want, to just make your own schedule.
Yeah, take vacations whenever you
Well,
want.
not whenever you want, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's really great. And there's this, I think a lot of people see it and they think, wow, like I want to do that. That looks so awesome. But you have to realize there's a lot of stress and a lot of difficulty that comes with that. So this is just to give an example. Before we started our business, I worked in an office for 4 years, and I did not enjoy being at a desk at a cubicle all day. But what I did enjoy was the security of knowing my paycheck was going to be the same every month. I knew exactly how much money I was going to have in the bank. I knew I could cover all my bills, any expenses, right? With a business, one of the hard things is you don't necessarily know how much is going to come in every month. For us, we have months that we just blow the roof off everything we expected. And then there's months where it is so slow and dead, we wonder if, or at least I wonder if we should just quit and get a job at McDonald's. But that's the thing you have to be prepared for. And so that's why this is really important, is there are a ton of ups and downs in business, and you have to choose what you want. Choose your hard, basically. Do you want to be on a 9-to-5 schedule where you're working for somebody else, but you have all these guarantees of security and benefits? Or do you want to have the hard of not necessarily having all the guarantees and benefits and stuff, but having that freedom to build your life however you want? There's two choices, and neither is bad, but you have to figure out which one works best for you. But the other thing you have to figure out is, if you're going to go the route of, I'm going to start a business, you need to understand your why. Do not do it if your only purpose is money. It's really easy to get fixated on the money, obviously, because you are starting a business. You need to make money. Until you make money, until you make a profit, you are not a business. So it's important to set those goals of, this is how much income we want to make. This is how much I want to make this year, next year. Like, that is really important, because it gives you something to work towards. And it's good to have commitments and goals. But the thing is, you cannot get so fixated on the money that it's your only reason for doing anything. Because, for example, I tend to, confession time, I tend to get fixated on the money because I like the security of knowing how much I'm making, and I like to know, oh, at Christmas time I can splurge and get all these really cool gifts for people, or I can go on vacation this time that we're planning to go because I have the money in the bank. But the thing is, if I'm constantly focused on money, it's just like the perspective thing. I get really depressed the months where we don't make as much as I wanted. And then the months where we make a ton, I'm like going to Starbucks every day because I feel awesome. Not really. I'm smarter with money than that. I don't go to Starbucks every day. But, like I get really excited those months. And it made me realize I think I like money a little bit too much. But honestly, I had to think about, okay, why am I doing this? If I'm doing this business because I want money, then that's wrong. And that's not why I started it. When we started, it was because we knew we wanted to be able to build our lives the way we wanted. Like, we didn't enjoy working. I did not enjoy working in an office. He didn't enjoy working at Starbucks. We wanted to be able to set our own schedule and to be able, when we have kids one day, we want to be able to spend as much time with our family as we can and just create our own lifestyle. And so that was our first number one goal, is we wanted to really be able to focus on family, and we've been able to really do that. And the other thing was too, we wanted to be able to like help other people or be a blessing to other people. And I think we've been able to do that through our business too. And so you have to really figure out, why are you doing what you're doing? And it can't be for money. If it's only for money, go get a 9-to-5, because you will not be happy running your business, going through all the hard ups and downs, if all it's about is money.
Yeah. Right. Because if all you're getting filled up by in your business is the money, then when the downs come, you're not getting filled up, and then you're getting depressed and beating yourself up, and that just kind of snowballs.
Yeah, for sure.
So you definitely want to have your work fill you up in some way, make you feel excited.
Yeah.
Because that is what's going to push you through and push you over all the hurdles of that just come with having a business, right? There's a lot of hurdles. And if you don't have that desire, that passion, then it's just...
And with all those hurdles, you need to learn to be flexible. This is kind of going on another little side road, but you need to learn to be flexible too, because like there's going to be changes that come up in your business. You can't get so attached to one idea or one, like, this is what my business has to be, this is what I have to do. If you're so close-fisted and attached to this one way you think you need to do things, then you're probably not going to last very long. You have to be flexible. Like, when we started out, we wanted to do product videography and like branding videos. The majority of our work now is real estate videography. We still love branding videos and those kinds of videos, but we had to be flexible and realize we get a lot of work in this area and we can be good at it. So just being flexible and knowing, okay, what do I need to do? What ways can I change? And being open to new things that come your way. I think that's really important too. Yeah, so I think that's really important too. And then one other thing that you actually made me think of when you were talking is if you love what you do, that's awesome. Like, a lot of people will start a business because they have a passion for something. Like, they love making beauty products. Yeah, they love making earrings. That's awesome. But the thing you have to understand is, if you love doing something, and you're starting a business around it, you can't necessarily do that thing the whole time you have your business. Because if you want your business to grow, you can't be the one doing everything, because your business can only grow to the capacity of you at that point. So say you make earrings and you really love it, but then you start getting all these orders, and maybe you're doing private label orders and you're selling these earrings. At some point, you can't be the one always making the earrings, because that's going to be way too much work. You're going to have to bring in other people that can help you to make those earrings. And then you're just going to shift from making the earrings to managing your business, leading your business. So that's one thing to understand too, is a lot of people want to start a business because they're good at something and they love doing it. And maybe they already do it at their job and they think, I could do this for myself. But that's what you need to understand before you start, is you're not going to do it forever. Eventually, you're going to be the CEO and you're going to be managing everybody else below you. So that's just something I think is important that a lot of people don't think about when they start a business. And I hate to see when people start something because they love doing the thing and they get so overwhelmed and burnt out, they just quit because they can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just something I wanted to throw in there because I think it's important.
Yeah, it's important to be passionate about the business side just as much as it is with your craft. I mean, maybe not, you don't have to be like a business
You don't
guru.
have to love accounting.
But it's gonna be a big part of the business. So just be at least prepared, you
have to be prepared for that. Well, and that's what worked so well with us is Nick is really great at the creative stuff and the video stuff. And obviously I help a lot with that too, but he's really good at that side of things. And me coming from an office job, I'm really good at a lot of the office, the admin things. So like our spreadsheets and accounting, emails, taking calls, running social media, all of that I already had experience in. So we went into this really well prepared. Well, not really well prepared, but better prepared than most, I think, because we at least had an idea of how to look professional and act professional and do things. Whereas I think a lot of people go into it not realizing that that's a huge part of what they're going to have to do, and that's where it can be difficult. So just be prepared for that if you're starting your business, and make sure you have your core reason. This is why I'm doing this. Just have your core reasons why you're going into business, and don't just make it about money.
Yeah, one of the things that's important too when starting a business that I feel like a lot of people have goals, and like I have a certain number of clients I want to reach this month or whatever, but you need to actually come like take a step back and figure out, okay, how am I going to do that? Because with every goal you need a set of actionable steps. Like I think very practically, so for me
it's very logical.
I just kind of think this way anyways, but like if you're not questioning your goals and like how you're going to get to them, then it's going to be so much harder to reach those, if you're just kind of, you have to have something to aim at basically. And a number of clients isn't necessarily, I don't know how to say, it's not really an actual target to aim for. It's like,
I think what you mean is like you can set a goal number of clients, but if there's no way, like if you're not breaking down a practical way of how you're going to get there, if there's not a good way to figure that out, then that's not really a viable goal. And like if you're setting these goals and not thinking about a way to actually make them happen, then they're always just going to be these far off goals that are just arbitrary. So when you're, say for example, you want to reach a certain amount of clients, like you're saying, well then what you need to do is figure out, okay, if I want to reach 20 clients, 20 new, that's kind of a lame number. If I want to reach 50 clients in a month, right? Then I need to do, how many cold calls do you need to do every day? And then you need to break down, okay, am I going to cold call? Am I going to email? Am I going to message? How am I going to do this? Then you break down, okay, what am I going to say when I make those calls? Like literally you need to be extremely specific with these practical steps and figure out, how can I get to my goal? How can you make it as easy as possible? It's not easy, but how can you make the process as simplified as possible to actually be able to get to that goal? Because if you're always going to want to take the path of least resistance, right? So if you have a plan laid out, that's going to be so much easier. If it's just some number way off in the distance and you're just cold calling willy-nilly whenever you think of it, that's not really going to get you very far. But if you have actual steps written out, it helps so much. And I know this helped us. Like we sat down at the beginning of the year and wrote down like how much we wanted to make this year, what we would have to do each month to be able to reach that goal, what our plans, like what we wanted in the next 5 years. And I know a lot of people think 5-year plans, things like that. They're like, well, I don't even know what I want to do next week, let alone 5 years from now. But if you're starting a business, you can definitely think of reasons. Just go back to your why and think, why am I doing it? If you're doing it because you want to buy a house, okay, what steps do you need to write down to get to where you can buy a house? How much income will you have to make? How will you make that income? What specifics about those? Like, there's so many ways you can break it down. Just be ridiculously detailed with how far you break it down to make it easy for yourself.
Yeah, so for example, when we started, like a goal that we have maybe is to buy a house, right? So you need to figure out, okay, how much money does it take to get there? Divide it into your months or whatever you need to do, and then figure out, okay, so I need, $12,000 per month. Okay, how many jobs is that per month, and of what categories, and then if you have that laid out, like, okay, I need 4 real estate jobs and whatever, it's so much easier to see that and know exactly what direction you should be pushing when you have those specific the specific goals, right? Like you have a big goal, but then it's a lot of little goals. Yeah, that actually are going to get you to your target. So.
And I like that too, because then you get to see your progress over time. Like if you reach those little goals each month, it's like, hey, you're 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps closer to that bigger goal, which is always a really good feeling and keeps you motivated.
Yeah, it does. Because if you have, a $500,000 goal or something, and it's like, okay, I've made 50,000. Like, well, wow, that's like, that's such a small amount. It's like I'm not even a quarter of the way there. I have so much further to go. But if you break it up into those small goals, it really is
huge help.
Huge help, yeah.
Yeah. So another thing that's really important is to build a good community. So with business, obviously, you need to have connections. You want to network to bring in clients, to get your name out there, all that sort of thing. That's really important. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Honestly, if you're having trouble, you can look at your city might have a young professionals that meets up every month. We've gone to a few of those where it's literally like young people under the age, well, each one is different, but it's just people who are young professionals, whether they have a business or they work in a very professional 9-to-5 setting, and they meet and network. There's stuff like that all over you can find. But when we say build a good community, I'm more talking about who you surround yourself with. So it's really important if you want to be successful, if you have somewhere you want to get, whether it's a goal, it's a job you want, it's a business you want to start, maybe you want your business to get to the next level, you need to look at who you're around, because if you're with people that don't really have any goals, they're more negative, maybe they're just focused on getting through day to day and living for the weekend sort of thing, like that saying, that's going to kind of bring you down, and it's going to get you in that same mindset. Not that you're better than them or anything like that, but that's not the mindset you want to have if you want your business to be successful. Because say your business is going through a rough patch and that's your friend group and you're talking to them about it, they're going to be very negative about it and not be very encouraging or helpful for you. So if you're surrounding yourself with a community of friends and people who are going after the same things as you, it doesn't even have to be business owners, just people who are really successful, who are working towards goals or dreams they have for their family in their 9-to-5, that's fine. But you need to be surrounded by people who are going after similar things as you, because it gets you in the right mindset and it keeps you encouraged and it helps you to learn because you're learning from them.
Yeah, not even, like you're saying, not even just for your mood, so you could be encouraged and be happy in business or whatever, but it's also because if they're where you want to be, that's exactly the person that should teach you how to get to where they are, right? You're not going to ask someone who has never been where I want to go to teach me how to get there. Yeah,
like I'm not going to go ask my cousin Kristen. I love her so much, but she's a mechanic. I'm not going to ask her how to film a house for real estate. I know she's listening. Hello, Kristen. But I'm not going to ask her how to film a house for real estate. But you know what I would ask her to do? In a heartbeat, I would ask her to fix my car. I will trust her above anybody else with anything wrong with my car. It's the same thing when it comes to your business. Why would you ask somebody who doesn't know anything about your industry about your industry?
Yeah, exactly. So surround yourself with those people and they will lift you up, and most of the time people are pretty willing to teach you also. Like, I feel like the people who are really successful aren't very closed off, they don't close their fist to everyone that passes by. Most people that are successful, not everyone, but most of them are pretty generous.
And also, we're not saying you can't learn from people with different businesses. Like, obviously on this podcast, we interview people from all sorts of businesses. We actually had my cousin Kristen on here, who's a mechanic. She has a mechanic business, and I learn a lot from her every time I talk to her. It's just learning industry-specific things. You need to be careful who you're talking to. But learning, like Nick was saying, like talking to somebody who's successful, if they're successful and you want to be successful too, it's totally fine to learn from them. I think it says in Proverbs in the Bible that as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens another. So whoever you're around is going to help you learn and grow if it's somebody who's going where you want to be or is trying to get there as well.
Yeah, so I think this is the last one, but one thing that has helped us too, especially if you're starting your own business and you work from home, it's really good to have a dedicated workspace.
And an organized workspace.
Yeah, because if you work from home and you work, I mean, it's fine. I'm not saying you can never, work on your couch or anything like that. But whenever you're done working, this isn't as big of a problem for me, but I know for you it was a really big problem is whenever you're done working, you're not actually done working because you can't relax because you're still sitting in your workplace because you worked just in your house.
Yeah, if you don't have like like before, we didn't have a really dedicated workspace in our house. So I would just work all over the place. So 5 o'clock would roll around, or whenever we were done working, I would finish and I would just keep sitting on my computer scrolling, looking at the email or doing whatever, because it's like I'm still just, there was no separation between work life. But now we have our beautiful office behind us that we redid. And it's like, it's so easy for me to shut off my work brain now because that's where I work and the rest of the house is where I relax. And so having that organized and dedicated space not only helps you focus and be more productive, but I think it really, really helps if you're somebody who struggles with shutting off the work at the end of the day. And obviously as a business owner, you kind of always have to be available or on because you never know when somebody's going to call. Mm-hmm. But you still need to have that balance of I'm taking time to rest now. I'm spending time with my husband. I'm relaxing, going to visit my family, going on a trip, whatever. You need that time. So it's important to have that balance and be able to maintain that balance. So it's good to find those ways to maintain it that work for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really not saying that like hard work isn't important, because hard work is very important for business. Mm-hmm. But you need to be able to shut that off because if you're getting burnt out, then your hard work is going to be worth very little if you're dead.
Yeah. There's the whole hustle grind culture. And yes, I love Gary Vee. Like I love Alex Hormozy. I love those people and I love what they teach, but I think you have to be careful that I would get so in my head about remembering what they said about, if I work harder than everybody else, then I'll win. So I would just work nonstop and constantly be trying to think of what I could do to possibly make us more successful. But that's not healthy because I was getting burnt out and I was very not helpful for anything Nick was we were trying to work on in our business. So if you have that balance and yes, work hard, be diligent, show up every day and be consistent to do the right things and to work hard. But also be consistent to have rest time. That is very important. So we hope all those things were helpful. Like we said, we started our business 2 years ago, and these are the things we've learned. We run a video production business, so it might not be the same business as yours, but we thought these kinds of tips were pretty useful for anybody who runs a business or has a service-based business. And make sure you share this with anybody who you think might find this podcast useful. It doesn't have to be this episode even. It could be any of the episodes. But we've been really working hard on this because we really believe the people we have on here have so much value to share. And it's awesome that we have these people in our circle of people we know and friends. So just make sure you share it, show them some love, follow them on social media when we have guests, and just... Yes. Make sure you follow them on social media. And leave reviews if you can. Whatever you want to do, honestly. Do whatever you want, but...
give us a big thumbs down.
Big thumbs down.
If you want.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you learned just as much as we did on this episode of the Palikari Business Podcast.
Yeah, for more information on our guests, make sure to check out the podcast description on whatever platform you're listening on.
Yeah, and if you'd like to connect with us and continue the discussion, you can always join our Palikari Community Discord and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Just search for us under the handle @Odyssey Productions Co. for new podcast clips in your feed every week.
Until then, we'll see you next time.